We are going to be a movie-making machine. And I have been very blessed by the contributing talents of many men and women that have worked on Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, then came into Dragonheart, and now are moved on with me to Daylight. David Eggby is an Australian cinematographer. He did the first Mad Max. He's done Dragon and Dragonheart and Daylight with me. I love his eye. I love the way he works, the speed at which he works, the chances he's willing to take, and his flexibility. Benjamin Fernandez, the production designer, can build anything, anywhere, with more skill, more enthusiasm, more detail, more brilliance than any production designer I've ever worked with, or even known.
This will bring you out well below the castle walls.
I met the costume designer of Schindler's List, Shepard, who is part Polish and part English, and I was very, very moved by her take on Dragonheart. She began to design the clothes for Bowen and Einan and Gilbert. Unfortunately, she got extremely ill in the middle of pre-production, and we were very fortunate to bring in Thomas Casterline, who understood a tremendous amount about the mass scenes, the bulk of armor and the other costuming in the picture, and Julie Christie's costumes, and just was able to pick up where Anna left off. Now, I had storyboarded the entire movie, and I knew exactly what Draco would be doing in which scenes, which way, and I knew that we had boiled that down to 182 Draco shots that were going to cost $22 million, so we couldn't afford more Draco shots. But the question came, how to start creating the character.
Jurassic Park was about 6.5 minutes of screen time with the computer graphics dinosaurs. And Dragonheart was 23 minutes of screen time with the dragon.
Sink! Sink! I can't. It doesn't get any deeper.
We did a test early on. Gosh, we probably did a test 6 or 8 months before we actually went to start doing the storyboarding. And what we did was we took the T-Rex from Jurassic Park and kind of stretched him out and stretched his mouth out a little bit and changed some things on him and made him look less like a dinosaur and more like a dragon.
Well, as the visual effects supervisor, my role in this movie was to create the visual effects, oversee the entire production of the visual effects. Basically, the director, and working with the director in terms of bringing Draco to life on the big screen.
As the heart binds Einan to me in life, it binds us in death. You've seen that it is. Through the heart we share each other's pains and power. But in my heart beats the life source. For Einan to die, I must die.
Well, to give Dennis Quaid and the other actors references on the location, once we determined, exactly where Draco would go, we would typically set up a monster stick, and that's basically a pole, and then we had a bar across that with 2 circles representing Draco's eyes. So we'd set that up and say, okay, there's Draco where his eyes will be, and Dennis could cue off of that.
Don't you hear it? Our rebels have stormed the castle, alive or dead. Einan's beaten. We've won.
But I was working to tennis balls on sticks in this movie, and had a speaker set up in front of that. And Rob Cohen would play the dragon for me. He played Draco, and he was a great Draco. He had such a passion for it that it really helped me out a lot.
We also had large-size plywood cutouts of a profile and flat-on version of Draco's face so that they could get a good example of his scale next to them.
On top of all of the technical things that you have to think about when you're filming a movie, in general, you also have to add what the dragon is going to be doing without him actually doing it. You have to commit it to memory. And then, think about your acting and your accent and the camera, and you know, just it's a lot to think about.
It's a lot easier to make a special effects film now than it used to be 5 years ago, because of the computer generation that they can do. 5 years ago, I would have been on a sound stage in front of a blue screen, which is, for an actor, it's hell to work with, because you have no point of reference.
Have you been watching over me all night?
I've been thinking.
Yes? About what?
Many things. Mostly about what to call you. I think I found you a name.
You say that as though you reached up and plucked it from the sky.
I did. Up there. Do you see that group of stars?
I know those stars very well.
Do you see the shape that they make?
Mm-hmm. The dragon.
Yes. They call it Draco. It means dragon in the scholar speech.
So instead of calling me dragon in your tongue, you'll call me dragon in some other tongue.
You're right. It's silly.
No, I would be honored to be named after those stars. I truly would. Thank you, Bowen. Draco.
One of the things that we utilize for both references and for filming is the microlight, which is basically an ultralight type of aircraft. And then once we filmed that, we put Draco over the top of that and removed any traces of the aircraft. So Draco's totally CG except for a few bits and pieces within the film. One of those is the claw when it has Dennis pinned down onto the ground, and that's a full-size set piece that we had on location. And that works pretty well because it's dark and it's not moving. You know, his hand's supposed to be fixed. And then when Dennis is inside Draco's mouth, for that we built a large-scale jaw rig for that. And it basically incorporated both the teeth and the moving tongue, which was all puppeted on location. So around that, once Dennis was placed in that, we filmed it and you could see all the rigging around it. And then in computer graphics later, we put Draco's head over the top of that. For the one scene where he puts the blanket over that, basically that's somebody else placing a blanket over a fiberglass section that was made of Draco with some steam coming up.
Oh dear. Thank you. It's personal.
What was it?
An old complaint that acts up now and again.
In a number of the sequences where he really interacts with his environment, we work closely with Kit West and his practical effects team. For the waterfall where Draco flies through the waterfall, they rigged up multiple air mortars and basically filled them with salt. And then on cue, they would go ahead and release that, and that would burst the water out as if Draco's coming through. We did a number of sequences where Draco falls into the lake. We had 3 55-gallon drums welded together, dropped from a height by a helicopter. And so for those splashes, that worked well.
The process of making Dragonheart ran for 2.5 years, and after I shot the film and cut the film, normally a director goes through a finishing process of sound effects and music and looping and so on, and you dub it and it's released to the public. In this film, however, I had another 13 months of work after finishing the cut of the film, and I really hadn't been searching out another film, but I've been reading some things, and a film found me, and it was called Daylight. I talked to my friend Sylvester Stallone, and I asked him to read it. He loved it, and the movie came together. We decided to shoot it in Rome for lots of complicated reasons, and I realized that I was going to be separated from ILM for a long time, and we decided to set up a satellite hookup from my office at Cinecittà to ILM in Marin County, California. So on Tuesday nights and Thursday nights, after shooting all day in the tunnel with Sly, I would go to my office with David Henry, my major domo, and Astrid Gattuso, my assistant, and we would start the broadcast from Rome to San Francisco, essentially. And there would be all the animators, and I could see them, and there would be the shots.